Hello, good morning, everyone. So let's have our daily briefing for today. And let's have a quick market recap on last Friday's data. All right, so first things we have the trade balance for Eurozone for the month of August. So the previous data is 20.7 billion and the market forecast at 16.4 billion. And the release time last Friday, it was 5 p.m. And for the actual data, it was 4.8 billion. So lower than the market forecast and the previous data. But however, this trade balance for the Eurozone did not create any significant move after the release. Followed by the retail sales for US monthly basis for the month of September. So the previous data is 0.9% and forecasted at negative 0.1%. And the market and the release time, at 8:30 p.m. And surprisingly, the retail sales for US was actually up for 0.7%. So it beats the forecasted data. And same goes with this one. We have retail sales yearly basis for the month of September. So the previous data is 15.4% and the market forecast at 9%. And the actual data is 13.9%. So retail sales for monthly basis and yearly basis for September was actually good for the US. But if we are going to base on the dollar index, I did not see any formation or any move after the release for the dollar index. But to be specific on gold, if you notice the movement of gold last Friday, it was actually down for almost or above the 50 pips due to this data. And followed by the consumer sentiment for the month of October. So the previous data is 72.8%, and the market forecast at 75. And the release time 10 p.m. last Friday. But this one is actually lower at 71.4. Did not meet the market forecast and the previous data. But if there's a catalyst that drive the direction of the US, it was retail sales. Since especially this monthly basis, they are expecting it to be on the negative figures, but it turns out that's positive one. So that is why some currencies did not benefit from this data, like gold. Okay. And economic data today, during the Asian session, we have the inflation rate for New Zealand, quarter and quarter basis for the third quarter. So the previous data is 1.3% and market forecast 1.2%. And the release time earlier is 5:45 a.m. And the actual data, it was 2.2%. And we also have the yearly basis. So the previous data is 3.3% and the market forecast at 3.9%. And the release time, it's 4.9% for the New Zealand dollar, for the New Zealand CPI. So it's a good one for this data. And for the weekly US and European shares, first thing is we have the Johnson & Johnson. Okay. So last July 21, they've had the EPS at 2.48. So it beats the forecast at 2.29. So the increase, it was 8.30%, but it's actually lower compared to the previous one. So they've tallied around 10.68. But for October 19, okay, their expected profit per share or earnings per share is 2.36, which is lower compared to the previous one. So let's see what will happen on this Johnson & Johnson. And we have the Philip Morris International. So their stock was actually up for 1.29% last time, but last April 20, it was 12%. And the EPS was 1.57 last July 20. And same goes with this one. The EPS is forecasted lower at 1.56. And we also have the United Airlines. So with this one, negative 5.93% down to 1.97%. If you can still remember, the United Airlines filed bankruptcy recent months, but during the July 2021, their EPS was actually up for 1.26%, but still the figures here are still negative. So from 3.96 last July 20, it was negative 3.91, but October 19, they are forecasted to be much better compared to the previous one, but still this one is a negative figure at negative 1.51. If there's one thing that I will monitor for this week, this one is Netflix. Okay. So last April 2021, the surprise for the EPS was 25.84%. So the forecasted was 2.98 and EPS at 3.75. But last July 20, their stock was actually down for negative 6% and 0.21 change for the EPS. So from 3.18 to 0.97 per share. And the last one is we have the PNG. So we can see a smooth surprise for this one. So the figures are way above the 5%. But however, last July 30, the EPS was actually up for almost 4%. And their EPS last July 30 was 1.13. And we can expect, based on the chart right here, at 1.59 EPS forecasted. And we have Tesla. Okay. So Tesla, surprisingly, their stock was actually up for 54% last July 26. So from 0.94 per share, it went up for 1.45. And 1.52 for the forecast for October 20. So if the EPS for Tesla beats the estimation right here, then you can see a surge for Tesla right here. So maybe it still remains around the 50% range or 50% increase from the stock. AT&T, last July 22, it was 12%. So this one is good for them, right? So 12% up for the stocks and 0.79 and 0.89 for the EPS. So it beats the market forecast. But however, for October 21, their EPS is expected to be much lower at 0.78. And as I mentioned, I will monitor Netflix for this week. So let's go back to Netflix. Because from 25% above or 25% profit last April 2021, they have a sudden decline from 6% or negative 6.60%. Okay. So it means that Netflix right here is a potential downside momentum. So we can clearly see that for the past couple of sessions right here, the market is just ranging on the downside. So from this level, ranging from all the way down and possibly go down right here. But if we're going to base on this market structure, we can see that the price of the Netflix is actually around 627.94 per share. But based on the trend line right here, if Netflix share goes down at this level, okay, goes down at this level, there's a possibility that the market could rebound once again or get 600 and then may go down around the 570 once again. But for the weekly range, we have to look for 650 and 680 for the resistance and the support 600 and then 570. So I will closely monitor this price, especially right here and then at this one. Okay. So as usual for Monday and Tuesday, there's nothing much, but there's an inflation rate earlier for the New Zealand dollar. But for today, during the European and US session, there's nothing much. There's no high impact news for today. So we are still safe to trade some currencies, right? So yeah. All right. So thank you everyone for joining our daily briefing today. Stay safe and have a great day.